don't think they're allowed. I don't think so. Okay. Okay. So we'll be singing some prayers called Jaya Radha Madhava. And please come and have a sit down. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Hari Jaya Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yasodhanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Sodhanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Yasodhanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachaari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachaari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachaari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Krishna, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bhaktivedanta Manor. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you to the children for singing and playing the madanga and kartala so nicely. Thank you. So today we'll be reading from the Bhagavad Gita, and it's chapter 2, verse 20. How many people know the Bhagavad Gita? You know the Bhagavad Gita? About 3 people. So would I be right to say the rest of you don't, or you're just not putting your hand up? Have you heard of the Bhagavad Gita? Would you like to know more about it? It's probably the best self-help, psychology, spiritual, anthropological book you can ever find in the world. So let's start. So I'll recite the Sanskrit and have a go and see if you can recite after me. Okay. Om Namo. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Everybody, please. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nice and loud, last one. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Najayati mrityu vakadachin. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya. Ajo nitya shashvato ayam purano. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So please repeat after me. I'll give the transliteration. Na, never. Jayati, takes birth. Mrityu, dies. Va, either. Kadachit, at any time. Past, present or future. Na is never. I am, this. Bhutva, having come into being. Bhavita, will come to be. Please repeat after me. Will come to be. Va, or, na, not. Bhuya, or is again coming to be. Aja, unborn. Nitya, eternal. Sasvataha, permanent. I am, this. Or this again coming to be. Aja, unborn. Nitya, eternal. Shashvate, permanent. I am this. Purana, the oldest. Na, never. Hanyate is killed. Hanyamane, being killed. Sarire, the body. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He doesn't come into being, he does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So this is the actual translation, so please do repeat after me. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. He undergoes no changes like the body. Sometimes the soul is called the steady or kutastha. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformations. It takes its birth from the womb of a mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because he takes on the material body, the body takes its birth. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. Anything which has birth has also death. And because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. He is eternal, ever existing, and primeval. And that is, there is no trace in history of his coming into being. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of birth, etc., of the soul. The soul does not at any time become old as the body does. The so-called old man therefore feels himself to be the same spirit as in his childhood or youth. The changes of a body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree, nor anything material. The soul has no byproduct either. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls, and owing to the body they appear as children in a particular man. The body develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. Therefore, the soul is free from the 6 changes of the body. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same as the Bhagavad Gita. But here in this verse, there is one special word, vipaschit, which means learned or with knowledge. The soul is full of knowledge, or full always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart, where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find that the sun in the sky, owing to the clouds, or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that there is therefore daytime. As soon as there's a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether a man or animal, we can understand the presence of a soul. This consciousness of the soul is, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme, because the Supreme consciousness is all knowledge, past, present, and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to forgetful. When he is forgetful of his real nature, he obtains education and enlightenment from superior lessons of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad Gita would be useless. There are 2 kinds of souls, namely the minute particle soul, the Anu-Atma, and the super soul, Vibhu-Atma. This is also confirmed in the Katha Upanishad in this way. Both the super soul, the Paramatma, and the atomic soul, Jivatma, are situated on the same tree of the body within the same heart of the living being, and only one who becomes free from all material desires, as well as the lamentations, can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul, also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pacharne Nivishesha Sunyadi Pashuddha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shivas Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this evening's class. So, Lord Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, and he's telling him that the soul, that is this eternal part of him, neither takes birth or experiences death at any time. He doesn't come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. That the soul, this eternal part of us, is unborn, eternal, and ever-existing, and primeval. Is not slain when the body is slain. So we get the understanding here from this verse. There is a part of us that exists, that never dies. This part of us, and in others, the soul remains eternal. And we know the evidence of the soul is that where there is consciousness, there is the soul. So here Srila Prabhupada is telling us that qualitatively the soul is a small fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit and is one with the Supreme. That whilst the body goes through changes, the changes that we are born, we take birth from a mother's womb, we stay for some time, we grow from boyhood to childhood to old age, and then of course we experience disease and death. We may produce some effects, that is having children, and then eventually the body dwindles and the body vanishes, but the soul never vanishes. So this is a really important lesson that Srila Prabhupada wants us to understand. He's breaking it down for us to understand that the nature of the body is that it's always changing. However, the soul doesn't change. So this is a really important part of actually understanding that here Arjuna is actually experiencing a lot of distress. And the distress Arjuna is experiencing is that he thinks that going into warfare, his family members are going to die. But here Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that that is not the case. The soul never dies. Soul never experiences birth. It is just that the body that covers the soul experiences different changes. Prabhupada is telling us that where there is birth, there is always, what is it? If there's birth, what is there always? Death, yeah. Yeah. So if you're born, you have to die. If you die, you have to take birth again. What we don't know is where or what kind of body we're going to actually take birth in. Unless we're very lucky, then we may actually acquire a human form of life. So, Srila Prabhupada is also telling us in the purport, because the soul has no birth, therefore it has no past, present, future. The soul is eternal, ever-existing and primeval, that there's no trace of history of his coming into being. So what that tells us is that we've always existed. We've existed because we're part and parcel of Krishna. But when we're in the outside world, everything is around the body. It's all about the body. It's about how good you look. It's about how much money you make, how popular you are. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the illusion that we think we are this body. Srila Prabhupada is also telling us that the soul not at any time becomes old. So in the spiritual world, what does that tell us? That tells us we're never old in the spiritual world. It's just the body, in the material body, the material elements, is going through those processes. So here Prabhupada gives us an example. He compares the soul and says the soul never deteriorates, not like a tree or anything material. Anything material in this world, ladies and gentlemen, will degrade over time, whether it's great buildings, whether it's our body, whether it's our even our clothes. After a time we wash them, they fall apart. So everything in this material world is designed to degrade. What it's also designed to do is it's not ever fulfilling. In other words, we see that with the environment, that when we abuse the environment, we damage the earth. We can... I think what we have to understand is that the human mindset is to take and exploit. But here we understand that having access to resources isn't a given. Unless if we abuse it, then we will be in a situation where we will leave very little for the future generations. Prabhupada tells us the soul has no byproduct, and this means that the soul doesn't actually... The soul actually doesn't produce either. So the products of the body, mainly children and so on, are just it's part of the body. Yes, other souls come through the body, but there isn't such a thing as we've eternally had children or we've had byproducts. So let's see what else Srila Prabhupada is telling us. Here Srila Prabhupada is telling us the soul is full of knowledge. It is full always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. So this is interesting because often we think that all knowledge comes from the brain or the mind. But spiritual knowledge actually comes from within the heart. This knowledge is transformed. It's shared through by devotees, but it's transmitted through the heart. So, isn't that interesting that everything you need to know is within you? So when we read the Shastras, often it awakens something in us that, oh, I think I already knew that. Or that makes sense to me. So Srila Prabhupada is telling us that when there is consciousness, that is the symptom of the soul. When there is no consciousness, the body is lifeless. So we know then that who we identified with as a body, as a person, is just the covering. The soul has already moved on. So therefore consciousness is a symptom of the soul, but even though one does not find the soul within the heart, where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. So, why is Krishna explaining this to Arjuna? Anybody know? Why is Krishna explaining this? Yes, Krishna wants Arjuna to fight because Arjuna is quite absorbed in the fear that he's going to hurt others and he's going to kill them. So, what's So, this chapter is a really important chapter, dear guests and devotees, because Sanjay is actually explaining to Dhritarashtra that Arjuna is full of compassion. Who has ever been in a situation where you are in a conflict and you have to take on somebody? And here Arjuna is really, he's feeling really sad. He doesn't want his family members to be hurt. Arjuna is feeling depressed. His eyes are full of tears. And so Krishna then speaks to Arjuna to give him this enlightenment. So the Supreme Lord is telling Arjuna that why have these impurities come upon you? Now what's interesting is that you would normally think if somebody's compassionate, then you have to be kind to them because they're doing the right thing. But here, this compassion is misplaced because it's a material compassion. And also, it is not Arjuna's right or his duty at this moment to exercise that because he is a warrior. So his duty is to protect the kingdom. Krishna is actually telling Arjuna quite strictly that these are impurities. How many times when we become emotionally drained or if we make our decisions on an emotional level, we sometimes get it wrong. So what we need to know is, from here, Krishna really wants Arjuna to be very level-headed in terms of the decision he's going to make. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, don't degrade yourself to this impotence because it will be disempowering for you. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, give up this petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of enemy. So my question to all of you is, who has ever faced a difficult time where they're in dilemma, do I take on this or do I make this decision? What do I do? How do I do this? Here, Arjuna is very lucky because he's got Lord Krishna to guide him. Now Arjuna is actually considered the killer of the enemies, killer of madhus. So how can I counteract? Arjuna is saying, Krishna, is saying, dear ladies and gentlemen, the curtains are closed now. Please come and have a sit down. So Arjuna is arguing with Krishna. He's saying, how can I do this? How can I fight people like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? Arjuna is saying, it's better that I just, live a life of begging rather than at the cost of the lives of his relatives. Arjuna is also arguing, it's not worth it. It's not worth fighting if, what's the point of me living if I want, if I have to kill these people on the battlefield, people that I look up to, people I respect, people that I love. So now Arjuna's really confused because He's on this battlefield, he's ready to fight, but he's got so many doubts. How many of us have doubts in life where we're thinking, what's the right decision I have to make? Now, if you're young and you're choosing your subjects, your GCSE subjects, you'll probably be thinking, do I choose this or do I choose this? Now, the easy bit for us when we're choosing something like that is because it's about us. And in some ways we don't want to get it wrong because we want to benefit. But here, Arjuna's got to be thinking about everybody else. He's thinking about the kingdom. He's thinking about the dilemma. He's thinking, if I fight, then all these warriors, if they die, their wives will be alone. Their children will be alone. And that's quite a painful place to be in a society if there's been war. And the male members of the family aren't there anymore. How do the women and children cope? Arjun's worried that there may be unscrupulous people who will take advantage of that. So as a warrior, as a leader, as a king, Arjuna is very concerned about others. Before he makes a decision, he really wants to be able to get it right. But then on the other hand, he's in a situation where he's been forced to fight. Yes, his kingdom's been taken away. The Pandavas' kingdom has been unfairly taken away. How many of us have been in a situation where things have been unfair? This is a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where with the Pandavas, they were in a very difficult situation with Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra said he would look after the kingdom and his brother's children, his dead brother's children. But actually all he wanted was the kingdom for himself. And so good advisors came to Dhritarashtra, and like Vidura, and said, look, do the right thing. And he wouldn't. So then Akura came to Dhritarashtra and said, do the right thing. He wouldn't. So he had lots and lots of advisors, but he was very selfishly motivated, whereas the Pandavas were very unselfish. So in this situation, what happens is sometimes when people have too much power, they become illogically, overconfident in their ability to remain in that position of power. But for Arjun here, he's saying that I'm really feeling grief. I'm really feeling a deep sense of unhappiness. And Arjun is saying, who's ever experienced when they are feeling quite distressed, that his body's shaking, his throat is dry, he's not able to compose himself. And he's saying that if I have this kingdom, after killing all the great people that I respect and that I love, yes, Arjuna knows that some of them haven't been fair to him, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't love them. He's actually quite concerned that he's saying to Krishna, I'm not going to fight. Why should I fight? Because Arjun's a very soft, kind-hearted person. He doesn't want conflict. He'd rather walk away. How many times have we thought to ourselves, this just isn't worth a fight. Better I just walk away. So the Supreme Lord said to Arjun, you're speaking such learned words. He's so logical. Arjuna is so, he's reasoning so well. But here, Krishna is saying that you're mourning for that which is not worthy for mourning. And Krishna is reminding Arjuna that the wise this is us, ladies and gentlemen. If we have the knowledge, this is speaking to us. The wise do not lament for the living or the dead. And this is Krishna reminding Arjuna that the body is temporary, that the soul is eternal. How many of us have experienced somebody who we love has passed away? Anybody? Anybody experience anybody who they love that's passed away? It's very sad. It's very, very distressing. It's extremely painful when we think of, the people that we've lost. And then nothing anybody says or does can make you feel better. And this is the situation that Arjuna is in. He's actually saying to Krishna, I'm not going to fight. Yes, Arjuna was brought up to be a warrior. Yes, his duty is to fight the kingdom. Yes, he's worthy of that, the kingdom. But he's saying, I've got grandfather Bhishma and people I love. I don't want to fight them. So then Krishna speaks very kindly to Arjuna. And he's saying that the soul has always existed. And it will always exist. And we know that the soul exists when you see every single body in front of you. That body has consciousness. So we know that the soul exists. Anybody who's atheistic and says that there's no such thing as soul, or that animals don't have souls, or plants don't have souls, is delusional. Because anything that lives has consciousness. So this is Krishna is telling Arjuna that, the way you're feeling right now, the happiness, the distress that we all feel is like winter and summer seasons. They come and go. We're all going to feel them because being in this material body, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have good days and bad days. And in fact, in a day itself, from a moment to moment, we'll have a good moment and a bad moment. So this is the nature of this world, because things will trigger us, things will upset us, things will make us happy. But more often than none, we will feel sadness, hatred, jealousy, or we'll experience it from others. So Krishna is saying those who are the seers of truth have actually concluded that the material body, there's no endurance, and that the eternal, the soul, has no change. That which pervades the body, that which is the soul, the life, Krishna is saying, is indestructible. Nobody can destroy it. The soul cannot be cut, it cannot be destroyed. Whilst the body can be destroyed, the soul is never destroyed. It can never be destroyed. It can never be annihilated. So this is where Krishna comes to explain to Arjuna today's verse, that the soul is there's neither birth or death at any time. The soul doesn't come into being, is not come into being, and will not come into being. The soul is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So, the way Lord Krishna explains this further to Arjuna is like when we're wearing clothes. We have new clothes, and then when we take off the old ones and we have new ones, that's like the body. The soul always remains eternal, but we change our bodies from lifetime to lifetime, and it's the example of a garment. The other example that is often given is about the car. A car cannot function. A car's like a body. Now, without the driver, the body doesn't work. So the driver is like the consciousness, the soul. So let's just go back to what Srila Prabhupada was saying, that How do we know? So let me ask you all a question. How do you know, what's the difference between the soul and the body and the material body? What's the body made of?
Soul never dies and body you can measure. And when the soul goes out of the body, it just burns it and it goes into burns that one.
Yes. So the soul never dies, the soul leaves the body, then the dead body dies, or yeah. Okay, so that's one comparison. What else? Yes. Yeah. That's right. So the body is made of elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Okay, thank you. Yes. What else?
Krishna is the soul, Arjuna is the body, and the chariot itself, but it's that lifetime journey.
Yeah, some people use that example, but according to Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita here, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, often that example, sir, is used in corporate life. There are people who will give an interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita in that context. But for what Srila Prabhupada is telling us, what the Bhagavad Gita is telling us, what Krishna is telling us, is Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is a person. And that never changes. And the way we experience the Supreme Lord is through three ways. The Supreme Lord is a person. The Supreme Lord is Paramatma within everyone's heart. Because this is the wonderful thing. The soul moves from body to body. But we're never alone. Krishna never leaves us alone. He travels with us as the Paramatma. And then, of course, he's Brahman in terms of every atom in the universe. So yes, the Lord exists in everything, in every element. But we have to maybe try to understand it that the Supreme Lord as a person is the person who we pray to as a deity form, that we develop a personal loving relationship with. I can see the example that you've given can be a really good example. But in the end, we have to understand that the soul itself is part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna never leaves us alone. So Krishna is Jaitar Guru. He's the Lord within the heart who's always guiding us. We just don't always hear him. Yeah, it's that soft, loving, silent guidance that he gives us. But the mind intercepts, and the mind is loud, and the mind's chattering, and the mind wants things done urgently, and the mind and the false ego is telling you, I know better. Do it like this, because of course I know. So this is where we get confused about our identity. And actually, there was something I wanted to share with all of you. When Brahma was creating the material manifestation, our real identity of the soul is not to take birth after birth after birth, where we take, we've got mother after mother, father after father, enemy after enemy, friend after friend. Well, we're here to learn actually all the suffering we experience in this world, the dissatisfaction we experience. Look, don't buy the social media where everyone is showing they're all happy and they're wonderful, because that's a cover for trying to project that the world is such an amazing place. And it is. If you've got high levels of consciousness, it is. But when we see it in social media where they're just comparing who's got the best body, who's got the best car, who's got the best food, who's doing whatever, this is a kind of an illusion. It makes us forget that we're a spirit soul. We want to, when we have problems in life, ladies and gentlemen, we think material solutions are going to help us. But material solutions can never help us to actually understand or to find happiness and peace. Because that's what everyone is looking for, from a child to an adult to a mother to a father, whoever you are. We all of us are seeking peace. So if we're seeking peace and happiness, we're not going to find it in material solutions. The only way we can find that is through a spiritual consciousness, understanding I'm not this body. You wake up in the morning and those same thoughts are churning. The anxiety could be about a boss, it could be something about a relationship in a family. How many people wake up and think the thoughts keep going and going? They just don't stop. That's because we are obsessing and forgetting our true identity. When for us, we all belong with Krishna. This is what Lord Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, that you're a spirit soul. If you have a consciousness and you have that awareness and that understanding, your decisions will be made from a spiritual context. Therefore, only spiritual solutions can help us to overcome material problems. So what are those material problems, ladies and gentlemen? The material problems are that the first thing is that as soon as we take a body, we're going to feel fear of death. If we're not feeling fear of death, if you're a mother, you're going to feel fear for your child's safety all the time. You're always obsessing about your child, your family member, your partner. So when we take birth in this material, this is what Lord Krishna is trying to help Arjuna realize, that he's forgotten his real identity. The anxiety that Arjuna is feeling is because he's forgotten that he is a spirit soul. He's actually thinking, he's identifying with his body. And then, of course, if you identify with the body, you're going to feel fear of death. What happens then? You feel unsafe. You're going to feel unsafe. You're going to be attached. For some, it's pleasure, it's possession. And then the next thing that happens when we take this body, because otherwise, if we really understood our identity, we wouldn't be able to function in this world. So there's like a covering that keeps us kind of almost locked into this material existence. Then there's false identification with material nature. We have this attachment. This is mine. This belongs to me. That's mine. That's theirs. It's kind of a separation. But actually, according to Krishna, that's almost like theft, because we always want more and more and more. And then there's this false sense of, there's this identification with matter, but there's also false ownership of the Lord's property, so we become possessive, we get attached, we like things, we hate things. And of course, what happens? The biggest challenge that we know we're in this material body, ladies and gentlemen, is there's no one who's perfect in this world. People make mistakes. Look, if you're looking up to somebody you think they're going to be perfect, well, there are perfect souls, but usually we try to take our, we put false hope, as Prabhupada says, in fallible soldiers, people who make mistakes. People who are illusioned, part of being in the material body is that there's always cheating going on. What's in it for me? And then imperfect senses. The first understanding of our being entrenched in the body is the mind. We have to disobey the mind, because the mind gets you into trouble. The mind concocts stories. Oh, see that gentleman with the orange T-shirt? I remember somebody who had an orange T-shirt, and he was not a very nice person. Now, when I see that reminds me of you, so therefore you must be like that. So the mind is actually insanely not stable. It's always making concocted stories. And we think, yes, I know it. Yes. One day, there was steam on the window. And I said to my son, there's something wrong with the double glazing. And I said, call them. It's still under guarantee. Call them and they can sort it out. Because I'm looking with my eyes and I'm making I'm deducting a sort of a reasonable conclusion that there's something wrong with it. And he said to me, oh no, Mum, it's just the steam outside. Because it's warm inside, it's the steam. It will go. And I had this huge argument with my son. No, it's this, because I'm right. I know better. So our senses are imperfect. And actually he was right. I was wrong. So how many times do we get things wrong? And we get things wrong because we're basing it on this illusion that I've forgotten who I am. I'm a spirit soul. When we wake up, ladies and gentlemen, we have to say to ourselves, this is not real. My true identity is I'm a spirit soul. Because we have to somehow shake ourselves out of this madness of this material world. Because there's always anxiety, there's always fear. But the soul never feels anxiety. The soul always feels peaceful. The soul always feels satisfied. The soul always has knowledge. But as soon as we're in the material body, we start feeling experience of death, unsafety, anxiety. But when we have soul consciousness, which is what Krishna is telling Arjuna, there'll never be death, because the soul doesn't experience death. So therefore, don't fear, because at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, what does Lord Krishna tell Arjuna? Surrender unto me, sarva dharma parityanja. Surrender to me and do not fear. So before I close, ladies and gentlemen, I'll open up for some questions. But before I do that, I'm going to, I think the final words are really that if you, like Arjuna, is feeling a dilemma in a relationship, how am I going to act in this relationship? How can I make a good decision? I don't want to get this wrong. How can I do better? Then the Bhagavad Gita is something that we should all be taking shelter of and reading. Also finding a guru or a sadhu, somebody to take guidance from, spiritual guidance, not material guidance. How many times have we gone to somebody for guidance and it's just made it worse? Because they've given you a material solution. If we have children, we have a great duty, ladies and gentlemen, to share with them the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Because even if you're practicing some of the great knowledge and the valuable the valuable things that Krishna speaks about in here, if you don't have the source for it in terms of Srila Prabhupada's books, then our children one day will think, okay, this is just sentimental. So as much as we want ourselves to have a good education, a good grounding, a good understanding of life, if you want to understand life, and you want to understand people, the complexities of life, the complexities of people, the happiness, the distress, then the Bhagavad Gita is something that you must, it's never too late to pick up a Bhagavad Gita and read with other people, join a Sangha. The Manor website will give you lots of links to different Sangha groups where you can meet like-minded people. And invest in we talk about investing in our well-being, self-care. This is spiritual self-care. We can feed our body, we can give our body, we can give our body nice clothes, best car. But what we're doing is we're depriving the soul. The soul also needs nourishment. So the Bhagavad Gita is extremely important to nourish the soul. If not, ladies and gentlemen, the World Health statistics are telling us already that in America, children are so much at risk of mental health, so are adults, and depression. All of these things are because we've lost identity of who we are. So like I said to you, the illusions bring about so much anxiety and fear and unhappiness that we don't know how to resolve it. We've got the best healthcare, we've got the best counselling, we've got the best coaches, but why is it that still statistically there are still challenges? It's really because the root of our understanding of who we are, our happiness, is based in nourishing our spirit self. You nourish your spirit self, and all other issues will become so small. Like, problems are like an ocean. Please do shut the door. Problems are like an ever-ending ocean. But when we take shelter of the Bhagavad Gita, it becomes like a hoof print of a cow. You can just jump over it. Does anybody have any questions before we close for Aarti? Yes, my love. Why is Krishna supreme God? Because he is. He is. He's, actually, it's a really good question. He's the strongest. He's the most beautiful. So he's the most wealthiest. He's the most famous. So Krishna, wealth, strength, fame, beauty, intelligence. Krishna's the most intelligent, and he's the most renounced. So that's why Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Because when we see, everybody wants beauty, everybody wants fame, everyone's looking for strength, but Krishna is the source of it. And when we see somebody who's really handsome and beautiful, they've got fame, they've got fortune, know that they've been benedicted by Krishna's mercy. That's some good pious deed they've done. Krishna's given them that gift. Can you give this young gentleman a big clap? It was such an intelligent question. Who is Krishna? What is what is it about Krishna? So thank you. Oh, happy birthday. Well, 5 years old and asking, it's just like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was 5 years old